All right. So, are you ready to dive into some crazy allegations today?
Oh, absolutely. I live for this stuff.
Because we've got a story that's got it all. Fame, fortune, shocking accusations, and a heavy dose of 90s nostalgia.
Lay it on me. Who are we talking about?
We're talking about Sean Diddy Combs, or Puff Daddy, or P. Diddy.
Okay, yeah, I get it, Diddy, but this isn't just your average celebrity scandal, is it?
Not even close. This is Diddy. He's a music legend. But now he's facing some serious legal trouble.
Seriously serious? Like what? Fill me in.
We're talking drug charges, firearm offenses,
Wow, okay.
and the big one,
Yes.
trafficking charges.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is big.
And we've got court documents, news reports, even old interviews
Oh, interview.
that are making people rethink everything they thought they knew about the guy. So, ready to unpack all of this?
I'm so ready. Let's do this.
Okay, so S trafficking. It's heavy stuff. And it's not just about, Diddy throwing those wild parties he's known for. These allegations suggest a pattern of coercion and control, which makes things a whole lot darker.
Yeah, you're right. And this isn't something that came out of left field. A year before this arrest, his ex-partner, Cassie Ventura, filed a lawsuit.
Really? I totally missed that. What did it say?
She claimed years of abuse going back over a decade.
A decade?
A decade. And here's the kicker. Diddy settled that suit almost immediately.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Why is that interesting?
Well, think about it. Settling means it never goes to trial. He doesn't have to testify, never has to publicly deny any of those allegations.
Oh, that's a good point.
Makes you wonder, doesn't
It
it?
makes you wonder if there was something he didn't want to talk about.
Right.
And it makes those past comments from Diddy about his parties seem even creepier now,
Oh, goodness. Refresh my memory.
Remember that Entertainment Tonight interview back in 99?
Yeah.
He basically predicted his own arrest.
No way. He did not.
I kid you not. He said, they're going to probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we want to have a good time.
He really said that.
Word for word.
That's wild.
It's like he was bragging about pushing boundaries or something.
Yeah, and we can't forget what Ashton Kutcher said a couple of years back talking about Diddy's parties. Remember that?
Vaguely, what did he say?
He was pretty cryptic about it all, wouldn't go into specifics or anything, but made it pretty clear that there was a lot more to the story.
Wow. So we've got this arrest, a lawsuit, these weird, almost prophetic comments about parties, and then there's the Justin Bieber connection. Remember when those two were inseparable?
Oh, yeah. Back in the day, Bieber was just a kid, wasn't he?
Barely a teenager in some of those old videos. And there's Diddy acting like his guardian or something.
Really? What kind of videos?
Boasting about taking him to get girls, that kind of thing. It's all pretty cringeworthy now.
Oh, man. Yeah. Knowing what we know now, those videos hit different.
For sure. You have to wonder what was really going on behind the scenes, especially given these accusations about Diddy's parties and how he allegedly used them. And according to sources close to Bieber, he's apparently taken this whole Diddy thing pretty hard, which makes sense, right?
Totally. I mean, think about it. It's Diddy. This wasn't just some random celebrity friendship. It was a mentorship, for better or for worse.
Yeah, it really makes you think about the influence someone like Diddy has, especially in the music industry. It's like when you hear these allegations, you can't help but wonder about the ripple effect on these young artists who are just trying to make a name for themselves.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about a cutthroat industry, and to have Diddy as your mentor, that could make or break your career. So yeah, I can see how some people might feel pressured to be at those parties, impress the right people, even if it felt wrong.
Exactly. And if what some people are saying about these parties is true.
What do you mean?
Well, they weren't just your typical industry gatherings. Some people even called them, freak-offs, to put it bluntly.
Okay, and just so we're clear, we're not talking about your typical house party gone wild, right? Because the allegations mention drug-fueled events, I think the term was days-long sexual performances, things that go, let's just say, way too far.
Way beyond a typical night out. And when you add in those allegations that he, coerced these women into participating, he even filmed them without their consent.
It's dark stuff. Really dark.
It really is. And you know what's even more disturbing? How this kind of stuff just gets swept under the rug sometimes.
It's that classic power imbalance, isn't it?
Totally.
You've got Diddy this incredibly wealthy, super influential figure, and these young women who, might feel like they can't say no to him, they can't speak up because it might jeopardize their careers, their futures. It's that ugly underbelly of the industry, and it's been whispered about for years, but with these allegations.
Like it's all coming to light now.
Yeah.
And it's like this goes beyond music.
What do you mean?
It makes you question what else we might not know about other powerful people. Not just in Hollywood, but in any field where you've got that same kind of power dynamic going on.
Oh, 100%. It's a good reminder that we can't always believe the image that's being presented to us. We never really know what's going on behind closed doors.
So true. And I think it's really important to reiterate here that right now, these are still just allegations.
Right, of course.
Diddy has denied any wrongdoing, and everyone deserves due process.
Absolutely. We can't jump to conclusions, but I think this is a good opportunity for all of us to, be a little more critical of what we see and what we hear, to question the people we might idolize, to think about the systems that allow these power imbalances to happen in the first place.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so we've covered a lot of heavy stuff today. But before we wrap things up, I wanted to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about, the responsibility that comes with fame.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Oh, yeah. I just think, when you achieve a certain level of fame, of influence, your actions have a much wider impact, don't they?
Right, for sure.
It's not just about you anymore. You become a role model, whether you like it or not.
It's like your decisions, your behavior.
It affects everyone around you, for better or for worse. Your fans, the people you work with.
People who might be in a position to be exploited even.
Yeah, and well, it just seems like Diddy might have forgotten that somewhere along the way,
Or maybe never really learned it in the first place. I don't know. It makes you wonder, is this just part of the whole celebrity thing? This loss of, awareness?
That's a whole other conversation, really. But I do think it's worth thinking about, how the constant pursuit of fame and fortune can sometimes mess with people's moral compasses.
For sure. So where does that leave us with Diddy? Because this whole story, it's not over, is it?
No, not by a long shot.
Yeah.
But it is a good reminder to be cautious, to not blindly trust a public persona, especially when that persona is built on power and influence.
Well said. You know what this reminds me of? You mentioned how those close to Diddy might have felt pressured to stay silent, right? Well, it makes me think about what Ellen DeGeneres is doing and how much more impactful it is because of that. Because she's not staying silent about her struggles,
Yeah.
Instead, she's choosing to be vulnerable, to be open about her mental health, very publicly. And she really puts it all out there.
Yeah, seriously.
OCD, ADHD, and then saying she's afraid of disintegrating in the shower.
I know, right? It's like, what does that even mean? Is it some kind of sensory processing thing? Or
Yeah.
just something else entirely?
It's wild. And it just goes to show you how complex mental health can be.
100%. What seems completely irrational to one person can be a very real struggle for somebody else.
Exactly. And think about the pressure on celebrities to keep up this perfect image all the time, to act like they've got it all figured out. It takes guts to be like, nope, I'm a mess sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
It really does. And just by doing that, she's hoping to break down those stigmas around mental health,
Oh, for sure.
showing the world that it's okay to not be okay. And that asking for help when you need it, it's not weak, it's actually really brave.
Yeah. Super important message.
Yeah.
Especially for young people who might be dealing with the same stuff. Which actually makes me think about Bieber again for a second.
Oh, yeah, poor kid.
Can you imagine the pressure of growing up in the spotlight like that?
Poor.
And then having this whole Diddy thing on top of everything else?
That's a lot for anyone to handle, let alone someone that young. It really highlights how crucial it is to have a good support system. People you trust, people who will listen without judgment.
For real. So on the one hand, we've got Diddy facing these really serious allegations about abusing his power. And then we have Ellen using her platform to talk about mental health. It's interesting, right? Like two sides of the same coin in a way.
It really is. It reminds you that behind the fame and fortune, behind the whole carefully constructed public image, these are real people with real problems.
Totally. So where does that leave us? What do we do with all of this information?
Well, for me, it all comes back to being a little more, critical, especially when it comes to celebrity culture. Like, you can't just accept everything we see and hear at face value, right? We have to question things. Dig a little deeper. Remember that there's always more to the story.
And maybe, just maybe, Hearing these stories can inspire all of us to be a bit more open and understanding with each other.
Yeah.
To challenge the systems that allow these power dynamics to happen in the first place.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. We covered some heavy stuff, shocking accusations, power imbalances, the pressures of fame. But we also talked about the courage to be vulnerable, to speak out, to ask for help.
Absolutely.
So keep those conversations going. Talk to your friends, your family. The more we talk about these issues, the less power they have over us.